All right, today we're heading out to the high seas. We're jumping aboard the ship Astria, where a simmering conflict between a captain and a sailor who seems, well, completely uncontrollable is just about to boil over. And trust me, this isn't just a sea story. It's a fantastic lesson in a truly radical form of leadership. So that's Captain Prince, and as you can hear, he has hit his absolute limit. The man he's yelling about has been a nonstop source of trouble, and with this one outburst, the captain is basically washing his hands of him. All the usual methods of discipline, they've completely and utterly failed. And this really brings us to the core question of this whole explainer. When discipline, punishment, and just trying to control someone all fall flat, what's left? I mean, what do you do with a person who seems totally unreachable? Well, let's find out. Okay, so to really get the solution here, we first have to understand the problem. And this particular problem has a name. Meet Lem Harvey. This guy is a giant, powerful, and honestly, he's skilled at his job with the ship's guns. But his temper and his defiance make him a huge liability. And this isn't some one-off incident. This is his third trip to the ship's jail. The captain has had it. Now this quote, it's so revealing. This is the perspective of the leadership. The officer, Collins, doesn't look at Lem and see a behavior problem that needs to be solved. Nope. He sees a fundamental, unchangeable flaw in the guy's very nature. He's basically saying Lem was just born to trouble. End of story. And here's what happens next. You'd think taking Lem off the guns, the one job he was actually good at, would fix things, right? Wrong. It makes everything worse. His resentment is like a poison that just infects the entire crew, and the whole ship's performance starts to drag. The captain's strategy has totally backfired. So, with the captain's approach pretty much in flames, the ship's second mate, a guy named Nat Bowditch, decides to try something completely different, something nobody saw coming. Right in the middle of this super tense, frustrated atmosphere, Nat just walks into the crew's quarters and asks this. Think about that. It's not a threat. It's not an order. It's an invitation. He's offering education as a cure for all that idleness and resentment. As you can probably guess, this idea doesn't exactly get a warm welcome at first. The men are skeptical, suspicious, and Lem Harvey? Oh, he's the most hostile of all. He's in the back just sneering at the whole thing, seeing it as some kind of insult. But over time, something really incredible starts to happen. The men who actually participate, they begin to change. They carry themselves differently, they stand taller, they work smarter. Nat realizes that when you discover you have the capacity to learn, when you find out you have a brain, it changes you from the inside out. It builds this whole new sense of self-worth. It's just a powerful lesson in how competence can completely reshape a person's identity. All right, so all this quiet learning is about to smash right into a moment of pure, high-stakes action. This is the one cry every sailor in a time of war both dreads and, well, anticipates. There's an unknown ship on the horizon. Could be a friend, or it could be an enemy privateer ready for a fight. And before anyone else can even think, Lem Harvey just explodes into action. Remember, he was explicitly forbidden from doing this job, but his instinct, it just takes over. He doesn't wait for command, he becomes the command. In seconds, the ship's guns are ready to go. It is a masterful, brilliant, and completely insubordinate display of skill. And then the tension breaks. It turns out to be a false alarm, just a friendly vessel. But this actually creates an even bigger problem. Lem Harvey, the ship's #1 troublemaker, has just blatantly disobeyed a direct order from the captain. His career, maybe even his freedom, is hanging by a thread. And right here, in this critical moment, Nat Bowditch makes a choice. He steps forward and he lies. He takes full responsibility for what Lem did. Why? Because he saw something more than just insubordination. He saw a flash of raw, incredible talent that he knew was way too valuable to just crush. Now that single act of trust and protection, it opens a door that punishment never, ever could. And that night, a very different kind of conversation happens. Lem goes to Nat, not with his usual anger or defiance, but with a question. He's asking for a different way of being taught, a different kind of leadership. For the first time, you see this vulnerability, this genuine desire to actually learn something. And Nat's response here is just so profound. He gets to the real obstacle. It's not about Lem's intelligence, it never was. It's about Lem's complete lack of patience with himself. So the condition for learning isn't obey me, it's learn to be patient with yourself. Learn how to fail and try again. For Lem to learn from the world first, he had to stop fighting himself. So they shake on it, they make a pact, and the process goes exactly how Nat thought it would. At first, Lem's old anger flares up, but this time, it's at his own mistakes. But he persists, he breaks through, and suddenly his learning curve is just incredibly steep. And here it is, the proof of the transformation. One night, the crew starts panicking about this strange fiery glow in the water. And who steps up? Lem, the former brute. And using the science he learned from Nat, he calmly explains that it's just phosphorescence, kind of like fireflies in the water. He's using knowledge to stop fear. He has actually become a leader. So, after all that, what's the big takeaway from this incredible transformation out on the high seas? You can really see the two competing philosophies right here, side by side. The old way was all about punishment and control. It tried to suppress Lem's instincts, and all it did was create resentment. Nat's new way offered an opportunity through education. It didn't suppress his talent, it channeled it, and that built genuine, lasting confidence. When you boil it all down, the story of the Estrella crew is just a powerful lesson. Lem's aggressive instinct wasn't some fatal flaw that needed to be stamped out. It was a raw talent just waiting for knowledge and purpose to guide it. Great leadership doesn't just manage weaknesses, it figures out how to transform them into strengths. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. We all have people or problems in our lives that seem like our biggest challenge, right? Our own personal Lem Harvey. But maybe, just maybe, if we look at it a different way, we'll find that's exactly where the greatest potential is hiding.